This episode of the Nerf Herder Council is brought to you by Audible. Visit audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. Warning: the following podcast contains irreverent humor, exceptionally nerdy opinions, potential cursing, and plenty of love for the prequels. If any of the preceding offends you, please turn off this podcast immediately, and may the Force be with you.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder!
You can't use that word! Only we can use that word!
Everything is proceeding as I have foreseen.
You're tuned in to the Nerf Herder Council, your source for Star Wars opinion, conversation, and debate. Featuring your hosts, JT, Star Wars. It's freaking Star Wars. Like, what, is she going to go to a fucking Jedi library or something? AJ.
Yeah, Rebels is a lot like our show, where we think we have a good idea, and then it just fails in execution.
Steve.
Show me on the doll where the Last Jedi touched you.
On this episode of the Nerf Herder Council, we ask the question, what can Episode 9 do to save the sequel trilogy?
This is the Nerf Herder Council.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. I am your host, JT. With me are AJ and Steve. And after our two-part opus with Ken Bell, we are back. And
yeah, that was our magnum opus.
It was.
It's all downhill from there.
It's funny because, like, I mean, I kind of got the idea for tonight's show based on some stuff I was listening to on previous episodes. I went back and listened to some older stuff. And it was kind of scary that we actually predicted some things like on the nose that happened. And instead of going, man, we're good at this, my only thought was, how in the hell did our dumbasses manage that? It's like, what the heck? So,
strangely enough, I saw in our Facebook feed that the show that came out on this date last year was us bringing up things that we think might happen in episode 9.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I just saw it today. I'm like, well, that's convenient.
Wait, are you sure you don't mean episode 8? Because episode 8 wasn't out.
Well, then maybe we typed it up wrong then. Hold on, give me a minute.
No,
I swear to God, there was.
We're so stupid. We skipped an episode. We skipped episode 8. We're like, yeah, let's just figure out what goes on in 9. Screw 8.
Yeah,
whatever.
Doesn't matter.
No, wondering what we really think about Rebels, plus what we think about potential story points for episode 9.
Oh,
don't really care what we think, but just want to listen to three dummies talk about Star Wars. Then this episode's for you.
You type 9 instead of 8, dude.
No, we even used the episode 9
what
picture on it. Yeah, March 18th.
Oh wait, never mind. I'm thinking 2 years ago. Never mind. All right.
Yeah, March 18th.
Okay, I was gonna say for a second there. I was like, what did we do? No, it's me that can't tell time. Okay.
I kind of wanted that to be true for a second. I wanted all of us to have missed that for like, what would that be, a year now, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
On this episode of the Nerf Herder Council, rumors for episode 10.
Yeah, the Game of Thrones trilogy. So yeah, Celebration is now less than a month away, and I finally got confirmation that the tickets are on the way. Which is, it's kind of funny because I was freaking out, like, man, it's less than a month. I haven't gotten anything. I'm going to the mailbox every day. Mm-hmm. And our mailman apparently does not know the alphabet because where we live, there's apartment A, B, C, and D. And on the front of each mailbox is a big letter, like a couple inches tall. And he keeps putting our stuff for apartment B in apartment D. And I'm like, damn it. everything keeps going to the wrong. So I keep looking at other people's mail, like
So you're just randomly going through other people's mail.
Yeah, just to see if my tickets were in there. And I emailed Reed Pop under the guise of, oh, we want to be a supporter for Celebration. You said you could do that on your website. We'd like to do that. By the way, when are you mailing the tickets? And then I just went straight for it. I emailed them off of the Celebration site that time, but eventually I just went to Reed Pop and I emailed them directly and I said, hey, I haven't got my tickets. When are they going out? And I got a response yesterday morning and they said, hey, it's going out late March. And then a couple hours later, the official email came through that says, they're going out via USPS in a couple days. I was like, yes. And then all over Twitter, people were like, I finally got my notification. So apparently I wasn't the only one freaking out.
Do you have a tracking number yet? It's not real without a tracking number.
Yes. Did we buy ours all three together?
No, I bought mine independently.
Okay. Well, you should have got an email too, and it has a tracking number.
I haven't.
Well, you better check.
Oh, man.
Well, they're
Steve, I'm going to save you the edit, but you know I wanted to right there.
You know what?
Did I want to right there?
Aren't you lucky that if you forgot or if you messed up, I actually have an old acquaintance of mine from the band who can't use hers anymore, so I know how to get you a 5-day pass.
Well, I appreciate that. But no, I'll raise my own share of hell if my ticket is gone or doesn't exist.
Well, you can raise hell all you want, but it's not going to get you a ticket. Only I can do that. Mm-hmm.
Like you have the power.
I just said I know somebody that has a 5-day pass that isn't using it.
Unlimited.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed that you didn't say anything to me.
Only my new powers can do that, AJ.
Maybe they're just taking a page from Disney, who likes to send tickets for like Disney World and Disneyland like 2 weeks before your friggin' trip date.
It's getting to that point, man.
It really gets you down to the wire. Like at this point, I'm used to it being that way, but like your first trip there, you're going to be doing the exact same thing. You're just going to be like, Jesus Christ, when the hell are you guys? Then 8 days before you go, it'll pop up in the mailbox and you're just like,
yeah. Well, I mean, like the tickets previously were like months in advance.
Well, here's my receipt email from June 6th, 2018.
God, did we buy tickets that long ago?
Your receipt for Star Wars Celebration Chicago. Yes, I did.
Wow. All right. Well, hey, you should have gotten a confirmation to that email then.
There's a QR code in the email. Is that my ticket?
No, it's not your ticket.
What the hell is it for then?
You should have gotten an email. I can show you what it looks like, but once we're done recording, because that makes for really boring radio.
if AJ doesn't need that ticket, just make sure you bring the extra one with you to Celebration and walk past anybody that can't get in because they don't have tickets and just show off that you have two.
Guys, I'm getting seriously nervous.
Sorry, guys. Just start holding up both lanyards like you're in Wayne's World going backstage to the Alice Cooper concert.
Exactly.
You're just rubbing it in their faces that you got 2 passes to get in.
Oh my God, such a dick move. Oh my God. Okay. So anyway, what I wanted to talk about tonight was trying to see, I keep seeing things online, like there's a lot of back and forth for some reason on my Twitter feed starting up again, people arguing about episode 8 and, arguing about episode 7, which I don't know where that came from. But so I kind of had the idea to kind of delve into a topic, and I don't think the sequel trilogy needs saving per se, but it seems like there's a lot of people out there that, the sequel trilogy sucks and this, that, and so wanted to ask you guys, like, based on what we've seen from fan reactions and things, and not really spoilers, but like leaks that might happen because of artwork we've seen and things. What do you think would quote unquote save the sequel trilogy? What can Episode 9 do to kind of like reunite the fan base? It's because it seems like the sequel trilogy is so it's very divisive.
Well, can we start with the idea that it needs saving and why people might think that?
Yeah, I really don't. I mean, I don't think it needs saving. And I just watched episode 8 for the first time in quite a while the other day, and I loved it. And I'm a big fan of the movie. And about a month ago, I rewatched episode 7, and I still have the same reaction I did to that one. And so, I mean, episode 7 to me is my least favorite of all the Star Wars movies, and episode 8 is up there pretty high for me. So I guess you could say, like, they're on opposite ends of the spectrum, but I don't think episode 9 has to come through as some huge blockbuster story, like has to be perfect like Empire in order to make the sequel trilogy worth a damn. But there's a lot of people that apparently kind of have that opinion.
I think this is the price of having made a trilogy in, the modern era where there's so much coverage of the production. Like, we never had this before for like the prequel trilogy. The internet was such a new thing back then that there wasn't a whole lot to really get worried about. And there was none of this for the original trilogy. So the fact that they had to change directors and change release dates and stuff like that. This is, I guess, from a production standpoint, the most unstable of the 3 trilogies.
Oh, yeah.
Would you say that's fair?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So maybe that's why people think it needs, quote, saving, because so far it hasn't been as smooth of a trilogy to make as the other 2 have been.
I kind of think that, people are complaining about we don't have a title, we don't have a trailer. It's obvious now that they're going to do both at Celebration.
Yeah.
And obviously the rumored title, which I think sounds like something they would name it, Balance of the Force, is...
Oh, God, I hope not.
I don't mind that title. I mean,
It sounds plausible. I could see that happen.
I just... I think they should call it, But Now He's Dead, so just get over it. Because since the first 2 kind of made a sentence, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, but now he's dead, so get over it. Like, that way all the people are like, Luke Skywalker's dead, that's bullcrap. Yeah, well, now he's dead, get over it. He's going to be a Force ghost, just accept it.
Episode 9 is just going to be nothing but a in memorandum, and they're just going to play I Will Remember You while showing black and white videos of everybody that's died since episode 1.
Right. I will remember you. He's so
Jake
great.
Lloyd's career.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, I don't know, like...
That's such a tough question, though, because I'm dead set on the fact at this point there is no saving Star Wars. It's literally a coin flip. No matter what you do, 50% of the fan base is going to be pissy about it.
Do you think it's that high, like a 50-50?
It feels like it. It's like, everybody that's like, oh, well, episode 8, to fix episode 9, you got to just act like 8 never happened and say that it was somebody's memory or whatever. Okay, cool. So now you just got all those people back on board, but the people that like episode 8 just jumped off the train.
Yeah.
So again, you're 6 one way, half a dozen another. It's just, there's, like AJ said, it's just, we live in a world where there's just no way to save this thing at this point. There's always going to be half of a theater that's going to be pissy about what the hell they just watched. And I don't know if the number is that high, but social media sure as hell makes it feel like it's that way.
Yeah, the one argument that I've seen over and over and over again, and even Ken brought it up, when he was on the show, and we didn't really have time to get into it because I didn't necessarily agree with him. So many people have said that they don't like the sequel trilogy because it was the perfect opportunity to have Luke and Leia and Han back together as a team and kicking ass like they did in the original trilogy. And it always seems like the people that are unhappy just wanted to see the original trilogy again. It's like, well, then go watch the original trilogy. Like,
that was the knock on the prequels, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
And then all the complaints of episode 7 were that it was too much of a rehash. So we just want something new. We want something new. You get something new in episode 8, and then everybody's pissed off that they didn't give you the same fan service from episode 7.
Yeah.
So, like I said, there's no winning.
Well, wait, except when they do. Did you guys?
There's no lightsaber battle.
Yeah. But then you get Yoda having a moment with Luke. A very soulful, force-driven moment.
Talk like that,
right? You get that Twitter guy who's like, "Yeah, Yoda wouldn't do that. It's totally out of character." And even when Frank Oz himself comes back and says, "I might have some authority on this subject," and I think he would.
Yeah, and he was on Twitter. He's like, "I think I know the character a little bit, and this is exactly what he would do."
Yeah, and the other thing I was so with Yoda too was, man, why didn't they use CG? Why did they have to use a dumb puppet? Like, this fan base cannot make up its mind. Like, during the prequels, it was like, why can't they use more practical effects? Now Yoda comes back, why can't they use CG? Like, what do you want? I don't understand.
Here's what you're getting at there. Star Wars is so popular and has such a broad and diverse fan base that people like different parts. Like if you grew up with the prequels and you're good with digital Yoda, you don't care about puppet Yoda. Like Puppet Yoda, you don't need Puppet Yoda. Digital Yoda is just fine. And if you grew up with Puppet Yoda, you like to crap all over Digital Yoda because that's not what you're used to. So I don't like Steve said, anything you do, you're going to have equal representation on love it and hate it.
Yeah.
Because someone's going to come down on one side because it's member berries for one thing, and someone's going to come down against it because it's not member berries for them.
Yeah.
It's just like,
just have episode 9 and like Rogue One and kill everybody and just go,
are you happy now? Yeah, I see. Again, I don't think it needs saving, but I think I'm trying to think of things that would kind of like, that people on both sides of the fence would enjoy, because I'm one of the people that
dude, that's the $1 million question. If us three can figure that out, we're gonna go get jobs at Lucasfilms because we're gonna get paid a lot of money if we figure it out.
I mean, there's been rumors going around of how Ben Solo's involvement comes to pass in this movie, and the Knights of Ren are rumored to be in it. So that's a rumor that's going around, and I think
we're really gonna have to put a spoiler alert ahead of this because you keep talking about rumors,
but it's not a spoiler.
What if people don't? We go through this every time there's a movie coming out. What if you don't want to hear rumors?
All right, fine.
Then don't talk about rumors.
If you don't want to hear rumors, just turn this episode off now because I'm gonna mention some rumors, and you guys have read these, so it's not a.
I've heard them from you.
Yes.
All right.
Well, there you go. So it's not. So it's
and
not
you also
nothing.
put the.
This is why I can't have anything nice. I have a show with you.
Shut up.
And you put the disclaimer in after like 5 rumors,
right?
All I did was put in a rumor about the title. I didn't put a rumor about everything else. Oh, what? Well, no, I
Ben
did.
Solo,
Well, I said Knights of Ren. Who cares? Get over it.
Yeah, right.
It's my show. I'll talk about what I want to. We can talk about whatever the hell we want. Damn it.
Okay, I will say though, I'm not looking at the Knights of Ren as any kind of a spoiler or rumor because I've been saying it from the get-go. Why the hell did you even introduce them in 7 if you're not going to talk about them at all?
Supposedly, they're the main bad guys in this one.
So
not supposedly, but that's
they weren't in 8 at all. So if they're not going to be in 9, it's like, what the hell did you even bother with it for? So I'm not surprised if they're going to be in it.
Okay.
Do you think they really had an overarching story for this trilogy when they began? Or do you think it was like JJ just laid some pieces out there and was hoping other people would play with them and do something neat?
No, I mean, because the story group always has things planned out. I mean, look what just happened with Resistance. I mean, spoiler alert now, if you're watching Resistance and you haven't seen the last episode.
It's okay. Resistance has as many viewers as we have listeners. It's cool.
Hey, at least they've got a season 2.
Yeah.
We're on like year 4 here.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean, in Resistance, it basically goes side by side with the events in The Force Awakens because in the season finale, they watch the Hosnian system getting destroyed. So, I don't know. I mean, see, here's the thing. Like, I want to go back to the Knights of Ren thing because that one's interesting to me because I think if you did, let's say they did bring them in as like the main bad guys, like that would be interesting to me. Because you could do something where, like, potentially they would think that Kylo Ren is kind of a wuss because, he had feelings for his mother and his father, and you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be big and evil. So they turn on him. So then all of a sudden it becomes kind of like the Rey and, Kylo versus the Knights of Ren thing. So you got the bad guy and the good guy fighting on the same team. And then how do you resolve that? Like, does he get redeemed or does he die? I
just kind of, in my head, I just immediately pictured Avengers Infinity War where there was like Thanos and like 4 other main bad guys that they kind of just, chopped down during the course of the movie.
See, I don't know. To me, it just seems like that would be kind of cool because it's different than what we've seen. Because otherwise, you're just going into another. Okay, Rey's gonna fight Kylo, and he's gonna turn good, or he's gonna die and then turn good. Something like that we've already seen. You know what I mean? And it's like you've already with the death of Luke Skywalker, which I have no problem with. That you've already set up the whole Force Ghost thing, and I mean, and that itself leads into another question that people, have wondered. Well, so many fans threw a fit about the fact that they killed Luke Skywalker. Like, what can they do with him to bring him back? I mean, obviously he's got to be a Force ghost. And all over Twitter, people are like, oh, they need to have a bunch of flashbacks. I'm like, you stop it. We already know what happened in the past. Like, it's been done to death. So, I mean,
Yeah, we don't need flashbacks.
Yeah,
if you want flashbacks, go throw the Blu-ray in before you go watch episode 9.
Exactly. There's your flashback, watching the old movie. But I mean, like they showed Yoda, he can like affect the physical world. He brought lightning in the Last Jedi. So why can't Luke, do something? I don't like that. I think, Force ghosts shouldn't be able to manipulate the real world. That's kind of goofy. Then like it doesn't matter if they're dead. But I mean, he can come back as a Force ghost and influence the storyline currently. So I mean, that's a possibility. And it's almost like they have to, just to appease the fans that are crapping all over, Luke being dead.
At the same point, all I picture now is getting on social media after episode 9 comes out and people going, "Really? You just had Luke come back as a Force ghost the entire time? Like, why would you even do that?"
Yeah, it's like
I'm so like disconnected from the Star Wars fan base now. I just automatically assume that everybody's going to complain about everything.
Dude, this is my concern about having Luke in it at all, and Lando for that matter. You would think by the third movie of a sequel trilogy that the new characters would be able to carry the film on their own. If this just becomes, well, thank God we got these old farts laying around to bail our asses out, that totally kills any hype for Rey and Finn and Poe. Like, those are supposed to be the new 3 that we care about. And if they need Luke and Lando to come back, like one's a ghost and one's like 80. If this is your big like Hail Mary to save your ass against the First Order, that doesn't say very much about your new heroes, now does it?
Yeah.
No, not at all.
I really hope they don't do that. I think that's one of the biggest problems with the sequel trilogy so far is a certain segment of the fan base being completely unwilling to embrace the new characters. I mean, how many times have we seen online people just throwing a fit that it wasn't Han and Leia and Luke running around kicking ass again? Like, okay,
you guys just missed such a good opportunity to have Luke and Han and Leia on the screen together again. Again, watch episode 5.
I think
it's Jesus.
I think Disney might have created their own problem though, because when 4, 5, and 6 came out, it was a nice self-contained trilogy, but it was obvious that there was a history leading up to those events.
Yeah.
So then the prequel trilogy came out, and it completed that story. That was a nice 6-film arc, and it worked nicely. And it all played as though that was the end of the story.
Yeah.
To then have to be like, well, no, we're going to carry on with the storyline. Well, but there's no reason to. Like, it's done. So if they had started like from a clean slate, be like, okay, yes, it's later in the timeline, but it doesn't really connect. Like, we don't need to say like, well, these new bad guys are the remnants of the old bad guys, and the new good guys are the remnants of the old bad guy or good guys. No, just start clean. Just start clean, and then we can get into them for their own merits. But instead, they're making us draw comparisons to Empire and Rebels instead of just being their own thing. So now it feels underwhelming because we've got 6 movies of this self-contained, beautiful story, and now we're supposed to care more about these new characters, even though they're just like a subsection or a knockoff or a spin-off of what came before.
I can see what you're saying. Disney would have got destroyed on the first movie, though, because everybody would have been like, oh my God, you don't even have stormtroopers, and you don't have this, and you don't have that. But to that, once the second movie comes out in your trilogy that you just mentioned, AJ, would be, hey, like, you guys already know all this stuff is gone, so there's nothing to complain about anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that would have been contained to 2 years worth of complaining, and then you can't really complain about it anymore.
You could almost have done it in reverse. Like 7 leaned so heavily on the first ones, right? And then the second one, Last Jedi, not quite as much because you had more established from episode 7 to pull on. Like, if they had started clean, like episode 1 to episode 3, do it in reverse, where like the first one's unfamiliar and it becomes more familiar as the movies go on.
Oh yeah.
Then you've got, an emotional investment in those new elements first, instead of just saying you should care about them because they're related to the old things.
Yeah. Well, I think to your point, I think just the fan reaction to the new 4 movies says it all. Because it's like, I mean, all of the fighting online and between fans is over 7 and 8. There's no arguing and bitching about Rogue One and Solo. It's just, I like the movie or I didn't.
Well, there's a difference about Solo, let's be honest.
Well, they don't, but they don't have that tie to the greater story like 7 and 8 do. I mean, they're a subplot, I guess, and so I mean, it has something to do with it, but it's not that linear episode 1 through 9 thing. And it's the episodic stories that people are crapping all over, and that's why I wondered, like, is there something that they can do? Can they make a movie with episode 9 that is going to, like, let's say they do call it Balance of the Force and everything gets united at the end. Are they going to be able to, are they going to be able to do that with the fan base? I mean, I really wonder.
JJ's come out. The few things that he has said is that this is and Oscar Isaac has said the same thing, right? That this is not just a culmination of this trilogy. It's a culmination of all 9 films.
Yeah, there's prequel stuff.
I think that's the burden that this film has, is it has to not only satisfyingly wrap up this trilogy, but it has to pull in enough from the previous 6 that make this trilogy matter at all.
Yeah.
Because as it stands right now, you could just stop watching at 6 and not feel like you're missing anything.
That's very true.
So they got to find something that shifts your perception of those first 6 movies to realize, yeah, they did need to continue on and get to this point for these movies to matter.
I kind of think, and I hate saying this, I kind of think that this movie has to have a lot of Luke in it. First of all, because Leia's gone. I mean, that would have been cool because originally this was supposed to be Leia's movie.
Yeah.
And that would have been a totally unique thing. But I almost think that it has to have a bunch of Luke in it, and maybe even have Luke be the hero of everything at the end, because they've hyped it up so much now that, it's the conclusion of the Skywalker saga. And I think if you just go the route of Rey is a Skywalker, all right, we know that Ben Solo is technically a Skywalker. Okay,
Ghost Luke and Ghost Anakin and Rey take on the Knights of Ren. There you go. There's your battle.
Yeah, right.
I called it right now.
Exactly. But I mean, it's almost like I think if they want fans to embrace it, they almost kind of have to do the nostalgia trip and have Luke, kind of, and almost retcon things.
We've called it for 4 years. If you go and drop Rey as being a Skywalker, that's going to be the most underwhelming thing that could possibly come out of that movie.
Yeah, this movie has such a burden on it because it's like you just said, I know if they come out and they go, oh well, Rey is, Han and Leia's daughter, like, all right, well, duh, it's from the books. The EU told us that, so that's not a surprise. If she's Luke's daughter, like, oh, okay, well, see that one coming. I mean, if she's a Kenobi, that would be cool. Like that. Oh wow, that's interesting. You don't see that every day, but it's almost like you can't win.
Well, what do you think about this being Kylo's movie? He's the one confirmed new Skywalker that we have in this trilogy, and if it's the Skywalker saga, it seems like it has to focus on him, right?
What do you think they could do with him to not make it like? I mean, because if he just becomes a good guy and then helps, let's say,
too easy,
yeah, and I would be a fan if he just gets more and more evil and they just cut him down or something. Or, I mean, honestly, what I think would be cool is if they left it unresolved. Because it's like, then you don't have that ending.
Then you've got a whole theater of, oh, come on!
Not me.
Except for me laughing hysterically at all the pissy Star Wars fans.
Make it like a Sopranos ending.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
But it's like, I mean, like, when they say that, it was what in that Qui-Gon Jinn comic book that we talked about. I already told you
it's a crossover. They're going to start fighting. Rey is going to start fighting Kylo, and then he's just going to turn into black dust and fade away.
Like, oh my God, this really sucks.
Like,
nope,
no, that's it. I'm out.
I'm done. Thank God this is the last one because I'm done with this. Yeah, I know it all. I think it would almost be cool if they had it like basically not resolved to where, like we talked about with the Qui-Gon Jinn comic book, where he realizes that the light and the dark need each other to exist. And it's like, that would be cool if that was kind of like the resolution at the end of this one, where it's like, okay, there has to be good and evil, and not one has to die, and it's, what I mean.
That would be hilarious if there's no resolution.
But then again, people would crap on that too.
Just leave it up to the fan base to just talk and argue amongst themselves to figure out where this is going and just never make the movie.
Yeah.
Episode 9 ends with Rey being pregnant, and all you know is that it's Kylo's kid. Yeah,
but then we get the whole,
there's your cliffhanger right there.
Yeah, but then we get the whole Reylo thing. And
I don't want Reylo.
No.
I'd rather that kid pop out and look like Kit Fisto.
He's like, I'm gonna have a son. It pops out, it's Rodian.
I would be the only one cheering if Kit Fisto ends up having a kid. I'd be like, yes, I told you.
I wonder so much because I've been
I'm gonna go ahead and write it down. We're recording on March 19th. Rey is a Porkins.
Her dad was Jack Porkins.
Just junk traders. Yeah.
She shows up in episode 9. She's all fat as shit. Like, oh, I see it now. Yeah, I keep trying to think of something.
That's how they blow up the Falcon. Got a little problem here.
It's listing.
I was gonna say,
The whole movie, it's listing.
like she's a perfectly fine pilot until she finds that out, and all of a sudden she crashes into the next thing.
That's how they kill Rey. Oh, jeez.
She's just dismantling a sub sandwich in there, and it just slowly starts to tilt, and then it just grazes like an asteroid. It just rips the cockpit off, and the Chewie and the Porgs just start lazily drifting through space as Rey's dead back there.
They use that as like a product tie-in for the restaurants that are going to be at Galaxy's Edge. They just have her all fat, and they're like, oh, man, I can't believe I'm eating this Rodian Slyloth. Like, wow, what's this? Is this a Bith steak? Like,
Can't believe they put a Starbucks on Jakku.
it's nothing but a shill for the damn Disney park.
Make her all fat, and then they got to put her on a diet. I can't believe it's not Porg.
Yeah, it's just hard to think of something that would actually satisfy everybody because, you know, for people like me who wanted a different type of a story, episode 7 was kind of a letdown. And for people who just wanted a nostalgia trip, they hated episode 8. And
9's got to be stuffed with nostalgia.
Well, I mean,
I'm assuming there will be prequel callbacks, not just
they've already said as
OT
much
callbacks.
They said that a while ago.
So basically,
JJ himself came out and said it.
if that's the case, then you, JT, you're going to hate episode 9 then. Like, you're going to feel the same way about it as you did episode 7 because you're just going to come in here and go, dude, all they did was give us old stuff. All they did was fan service and play the thing off. And I've seen this already, so suck.
Yeah, well, no, but I think they could do it cool though. I mean, if it's not just rehashing crap we've already seen.
I don't know, man. As much as I love Return of the Jedi, I got to think about this for a second. You got back to Tatooine. You got a second Death Star. I mean, it's like that's kind of what they do. They do throwbacks.
So different. That felt so different. I mean, because like, I mean, and that's a perfect example though. I mean, like you can go back to these places and show things, like hit familiar locations, but just don't give me the same movie. Like, I mean, episode 7 was just, you know, it started out really cool and it was different, and you had the Graveyard of Giants. You know, the way they reintroduced the Falcons, one of the greatest Star Wars moments there is. That was awesome. You know, I never really thought Kylo was supposed to be another Darth Vader. He seemed a little different, more vulnerable, which I thought was cool. But then after like the first 40 minutes, it was just episode 4. Like, I've seen this crap, you know, like.
So what if 9 starts out with like, we know it's going to be like 5 years in the future, I think JJ said, right? Something like that.
Something around there, yeah.
2, I think it was only 2.
Was it?
Okay, well, there is a bit of a time jump, and we're assuming that
actually it might be 1 year. Actually, now that I think about it, but it's 1 or 2. In any case, it's not 5 minutes later, like
right,
like the last one was.
But the thing we do know is that the First Order has spread, and they're even more in control now, right?
That I haven't actually read anything about that.
Well, I think that came out from write-ups from the Galaxy's Edge stuff.
Okay,
because the Galaxy's Edge stuff takes place between 8 and 9, vaguely, we think.
Yeah.
And so that's part of the storyline is how the First Order has spread so far that they got all the way to Batuu. But let's like play that out. And let's say that some original trilogy or especially prequel locations are now occupied by First Order. Like, what if you go to Coruscant and it's First Order territory now?
See, that's cool though.
That would be a way to call back, but not be like rehashing.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
It makes sense to us. And
Yeah,
again, I'm so disconnected that I immediately just went, I'm thinking on behalf of idiot Star Wars fans. They're going to go, oh, well, you could have just made up a new planet. Why'd you have to go back to Coruscant? Like,
well, isn't that also one of the complaints though? Is that they keep shoving new aliens at us? They're like, where's our OT aliens? Where's our prequel aliens? Why don't we get those anymore? So,
I said, I'm 100% fine with it. I'm constantly trying to think on behalf of the jack-offs out there.
That's
ruining this for the rest of us.
That's what I keep running into. Like, I can't think of something that would. I can't think of something that would like satisfy everybody, because like as much as episode 7, like I just said, to me is like a rehash, and it's like it just hasn't gotten better for me as time has gone by. Like, I still really enjoy it. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's a Star Wars movie, and it's a really enjoyable Star Wars movie, and I you know, it's great. I would just prefer to watch the others. It's a different type of a story. So, you know, episode 8 for me was a totally new story. So I'm just hoping to see something cool. Like, I want to see a cool resolution. And honestly, I mean, this is what sucks, is like so many people look at these movies. I think they look too deeply into them. You know, I mean, I know we have a whole show dedicated to talking about Star Wars, but you know, it's like, you know, we're not looking for like subtle themes and all this crap. It's like, it's entertainment. And I think, you know,
I think a lot of people forget that.
Yeah. And I mean,
you can clearly hear that during that theme, those 3 notes are clearly out of Luke's theme from episode 4. And that means that, like, those are the people that just, please move out of your parents' basement and do something with your life.
Either that or we're just not attentive. Either that or we're just not that attentive. Yeah. That could be it.
No, we are doing it just fine.
Yeah.
We're talking just enough without trying to get into the complete nooks and crannies of the damn thing. It's just not worth it.
I just think if people would look at it like with a little bit more simplicity, if they just make a really entertaining movie and it doesn't, you know, rip anything off, or, you know, just do something completely egregious, like have Force Ghost Luke just running around kicking ass like he never died, you know, I think people would find it be an enjoyable thing. I mean, it's almost like, I guess you have to kind of draw that line between nostalgia and something fresh.
Yeah.
Like if you combine episodes 7 and 8 and take, you know, the things that people liked about them. I mean, it sounds stupid and cliche to say that, but really you'll have a fresh new story and some interesting new Star Wars things from that. And that's something that episode 8 did, but then you'll have callbacks and throwbacks, like, you know, that was, you know, the hallmark of episode 7. But they have to tread lightly.
Well,
I mean,
as our last 2 shows have illustrated, no matter what story you tell, that means there's umpteen dozen, 100,000 different stories you didn't tell instead. So no matter what story they choose to go with, it's going to be disappointing to someone who wanted to see something else instead.
Yeah.
The one thing this conversation has gotten me to, and thank you, because I had no idea where I was going to go with my this whole thing tonight, but I think I'm finally settled on that. You know how like your complaint about The Force Awakens was, it was like ham-fisted callbacks. It was like, let's take old stuff but put it in a new setting. Like, okay, we've got a desert planet, but it's Jakku. It's not Tatooine. Like they try to like make new versions of old things.
Well, it's a rehash of episode 4 after the first 40 minutes or so.
I think that 9 should just do the opposite. Give me the new things in old settings. So I want to see like prequel and original trilogy stuff, but with the new characters. And then that would be a great way to tie it all together. Because then you go from obvious throwbacks to now we're going to revisit old things with new people and situations.
Yeah.
So I would love that.
See, and that actually, I just thought of something.
And then you can leave the whole saga in a familiar place too.
See, and that just, you were mentioning Coruscant, and now, so that'd be almost like, you know, saying, like, let's say we go back to Coruscant and it's a First Order controlled planet or something. Like, what if the Jedi archives are still there?
Right. They can bring in all
they
this
could go,
stuff.
like, the new characters can discover the Jedi archives, and then there's some holy crap, like, they can bring something back to fight. Like, you know, like, that would be kind of cool. Mm-hmm. I mean, and it's a throwback, but it's not overly derivative. You know, it's just like, oh, here's this familiar thing, but we're going to take what was there and add to the lore of the Jedi archives. Like, you know, they find this thing and like, oh my God, this is how we win. Like, you know, so it's not, you know, Obi-Wan having to go find a planet. They're not like looking up the star maps and stuff. Like,
right.
It's nothing like that, but
they're just exploring a quote unquote wasteland and they find a purple lightsaber laying on the ground.
yeah. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I think that'd be really cool. It's going to be so difficult because I hate to say this, but I don't really see a way that they can end this and have it be, you know, oh, this is just like Revenge of the Sith, or this is just like, you know, Return of the Jedi. I think too many things were introduced in episode 8 to make that something they could do, because I think even to them, it would be pretty obvious, you know, I mean, as much as I say episode 7's, you know, a ripoff, I don't think they can, after what Rian Johnson set up in episode 8, I don't think they can just go in and make a Return of the Jedi rehash without crapping on stuff that happened in episode 8, which completely delegitimizes, you know, 1/3 of the trilogy. And I don't.
Okay, here's what I'm going to look for. Is the Falcon going to lose its radar dish again?
You mean a third time?
Yes.
I do believe so. Like, as much as I've avoided all that stuff, I'm pretty sure I saw art already that has a 6-sided.
No, I think I thought I heard it's got like the round dish back. I thought
It's kind of round, but then it kind of has these little like umbrella things on it too. Like,
it's a fucking trapezoid.
They're just going through all the geometry.
Exactly. It falls off like 3 times in this movie. Like one's a rhombus, one's a trapezoid. Yeah, one's a trapezoid. Like
it's just
yeah.
Have we done a parallelogram yet?
That's the third one.
All right, parallelogram.
That's
go.
the third one.
It's just like E.T. trying to phone home. It's just an upside down umbrella, and there's some strings attached to it that BB-8 is like moving, trying to move the dish back and forth.
That's all they're gonna do.
And there's a speak and spell.
Yeah, they get all the way down to the Bill and Ted one where it's like an umbrella with some like canned pudding.
Yeah, just dinging it around on there.
That's going to be the prequel callback. They're going to have just like battle droid arms in a pile to get reception. Like, oh, there's your prequel throwback there, people. Like,
but they've done that. Let's see, 7 they lost the gun, right? And then 8 they lost the dish under crate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So something's got to fall off it again.
Yeah.
As long as it makes it through the end of the movie.
If they blow up the Falcon,
this point,
I am going to throw a fit.
Well, hell, even in Solo, they lost the gun in that too. They just love to knock things off that ship like crazy.
At this point, when the credits roll, as long as the Falcon and Chewbacca are cool, I'm fine with it. I'm not going to find anything to complain about during the movie.
Yeah, like I say, as I said at the beginning, I don't think the sequel trilogy needs saving. I just think that because the fan base is so divided on, you know, especially The Last Jedi, and people just argue about, oh, Disney ruined Star Wars, and it's like I really wonder if there's a way they can make a movie, you know, can they balance that line of nostalgia and new? Can they actually find that perfect balance? I mean, and some of the stuff I've read, it sounds like it's going to be pretty cool, and there's some interesting new things. And I mean, the one thing they did say is that like all the actors have said that this movie is enormous. Like the battles are just gigantic, like the biggest we've ever seen. So
hopefully they go the Avengers route and it's like a 3-hour runtime.
Yeah.
you would think it'd be long. I mean, God, what The Last Jedi was, what, 2.5?
They all clock in somewhere between 210 and 220.
Well,
sometimes they go a little long to 2.5.
Well, The Last Jedi is the longest one. It's like 2:30 or 2:35, and the longest one was like 2 hours and 22. I think episode 2 was that. It was all 2s or something for episode 2. Don't quote me, but I know The Last Jedi was the longest one.
And they've all been within like 20 minutes of each other.
Yeah,
though.
yeah. But I mean, they almost have to. Just
according to Blu-ray, runtime was 152 minutes.
What? No, there's no way.
Well, that's 232 then.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I was thinking minutes when you were saying that for some reason.
Boy, both of us messed up that math at the same time.
Been a long day.
It's not a half hour long. Dude, dumbass.
Crazy. A New Hope is actually the shortest runtime of them all.
What, like 2:11 or something?
2 hours and 5 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't realize. Well, it doesn't feel like the shortest one, but
for back in the 70s, though, when everything was 90 minutes and out, like that's
True.
pretty long. But yeah, so well, I mean, on that, we'll close up shop. You know, I just wondered if you guys had any opinions because it was something I saw online a lot, and you know, we don't have any like great ideas for that, but it's just an interesting concept to kind of, you know, contemplate a little bit because there's so much online discussion about.
Yeah, it's not like we're not going to revisit this about 3 or 4 more times before the movie comes out. At this point, I'm just really dead set on the fact that I don't think we're going to they're never going to make the fan base happy. So
I just, you know, my last thought on it is I hope JJ really does knock it out of the park and all of a sudden it's like this Star Wars movie that everybody loves. Because it's really cool when something kind of comes back. I mean, it just
that'd be great, especially after the backlash he got on 7. If he comes and just makes a masterpiece in 9, that would be hilarious. I'd love it.
Well, I think they're already on a path of, you know, at least financially, I think they're already trying to make, you know, a lot more money and get more people in the theaters because I honestly think that this whole thing with not revealing the title or the trailer, like revealing a single second of footage until Celebration is a financial decision, you know, because it's just the hype and the build up for it is so incredible that the less you show people, the more they want to see it. So they want people to run out to the theater because, you know, the more that you show people, the more that the people that hated The Last Jedi can read into, you know, 2.5 minute long trailers and go, this is gonna suck because of this and this is gonna suck because of that. I'm not going. But if you don't show them anything, they are Star Wars fans and they have that little bit of hope, like, but maybe I'm gonna like it, and then they'll go buy a ticket. So yeah, you know, I mean, like I say, I like when things come back. Like one of my 2 favorite bands is Dream Theater, and their last record was, oh my god, fans either loved it or hated it, and this new one, like everybody loves it. And it's great because it feels like the band is back. So it's a cool feeling. And I hope Star Wars gets that too. So,
well, we've got about by the time this hits the airwaves, 3 weeks to Celebration, right?
Yep.
So that's how much time you guys have to tell us what you think is going to be in 9 before we can start obsessing about the trailer that is inevitably going to be shown on Friday morning at Celebration.
Yes. So
that you guys will watch from a hotel room.
No, I am getting in line.
Yeah, we're going to watch from the line that didn't get to go into the room.
Oh no, I'm getting in there somehow. And the good thing is though that I guess the arena at McCormick, like McCormick is so big that the arena holds like a ton of people, like 10,000 people or something. So it's like the biggest one they could put it in. And I know like the one at Anaheim was really big too, and that a lot of people got in for that. So I've never been able to, you know, wait overnight yet, and I want to do it. I just hope it's not outdoors. Somebody was saying that they heard that you'd have to wait outside, and that's how they're going to curb the lines. It's like make people sleep outside in Chicago weather overnight. I was like, screw it, I'll do it. That's the price I got to pay.
You don't really got to worry about the weather.
Yeah, right. It is Chicago.
It's only the murder capital of the country. No big deal. Go ahead, wait outside, everybody.
Yeah, I'm sure criminals won't see Star Wars fans as a, you know, vulnerable bunch.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's just a bunch of people waiting outside with gobs of money because they want to go shopping first thing in the morning.
Not a Target at all. So, well, thanks everybody for listening to another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. As always, we are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. You can get all of your official Nerf Herder Council swag at shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. Thanks to Galactic Empire. Go check out their 2 albums on Rise Records. You can get that wherever you download or purchase music. You can find us at Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, CastBox, Spotify, all those fun places. All of our episodes are available on YouTube. The website is nerfherdercouncil.com. You can interact with us on Facebook. You can interact with us on Twitter at NHC Podcast. And if you'd like to send us an email directly, just send it to nerfherdercouncil@gmail.com. So once again, I'm your host, JT, at DogPoundJedi. He's AJ.
At Drake Adams, 579.
He's Steve.
At JSteve1005.
And we will catch you next time.
Bucket of bolts is never gonna get us past that blockade.
This bucket's got a few surprises left in her. Plus me and Chewie are on it. Ain't that right, Chewie?
Hell yeah, you my Nerf herder.
You my Nerf herder.